Hi everyone, it's Mr. Stanley here, and as you can see, I have an egg carton in front of me, and I was thinking about when I take these egg cartons that when I start to put eggs in them, they actually could be more than one fraction, and that's something we call equivalent fractions. And you can kind of hear when I say the word equivalent that I kind of hear the word equal in there. So let's start with one that we learned yesterday. I like my green eggs and ham, so I'm going to use green eggs today. And I heard and saw a few students in my small group yesterday talk about how these three eggs right here represent a fraction. And if you think about these eggs right here, they represent one fraction that I'm thinking of in particular. So here's one egg, two eggs, and three eggs, but then I have these other spots that total up to a dozen, which means that we have a total of 12. So a dozen is equal to 12. And that dozen here tells us that we have 12 spots open, but 3 of those spots are actually taken. So many of you learned yesterday that when you put an egg in one of the spots, it can be represented out of 12. 1 12, 2 12, 3 12, 4 12, 5 12, and so on, until you get all the way to 12 12s, which is an entire dozen eggs. But this one only has 3. So today I want to think about what other way or what other kind of fraction 3 twelfths could be. What could 3 twelfths be? Well, one way to think about it is I could actually take these 3 eggs and make them their own group. And I'm going to make them their own group by sectioning off a little string right here. Let's pretend this is like a piece of yarn. And I'm going to make every 3 eggs its own section. So let's do it with this one. Okay, and then I'm going to do another one right here, another little zigzaggy guy. And I think that might work. Okay, so I think I've got some sections now. So that means that every 3 eggs is going to be its own little tiny group. And I'm going to do some highlighting for you. So if you take a look at our first section, we have a section that is one section. So here's one section of eggs, which is 3. And then we have another section of eggs, which is also 3. And then we have another section of eggs, which is another 3. And then we have a final section of eggs, which is also another 3. So if you take a look at it, we actually have a total of 4 different sections in our carton. Here is section number 1, here is section number 2, here's section number 3, and here's section number 4. And you can kind of see now that instead of having 12 separate parts for each little tiny little egg, now we have groups. Every 3 group would represent 1 out of 4. So in this case, we have one section that has eggs. That's this section over here. And there are 4 sections altogether. Just like in our original statement, we said that there were 3 eggs out of the 12 spots for eggs. Here, there's 1 section of eggs filled in out of the 4 sections that we grouped. That's how 3 twelfths is equal to 1/4.